So, now I've explained everything about how time records memories, I want to talk about dementia and ghost memories, because one of the things that people with dementia will experience is ghost memories. What people need to understand now that I've explained everything is people with dementia who are experiencing ghost memories aren't like remembering the event, they are living the experience because they've gone back in time. They are living that time like it is happening for the first time because it is. I've had to study dementia a lot. I've spoken to a lot of people who have loved ones with dementia, who have lost loved ones to dementia. When I was in North Carolina, I spoke to a Marine there whose grandfather who raised him, who was basically his dad, had just recently passed of dementia, and I sat for like 2 hours asking him a whole heap of questions about, you know, everything from what he witnessed to like his granddad's lifestyle and all that sort of thing, because I'd had just learnt about it. Was actually I was watching in America. They have a lot of advertisements promoting medication. And this ad came on for people with dementia and ghost memories and blah, blah, blah. It was talking about this medication and dementia and ghost memories and what ghost memories are. And I was thinking, ghost memories? Has that got anything to do with time jumping, like quantum magnetics, time travel? So I started looking into it. And then I started developing quantum magnetics more and more. I mean, this was going back to 2016, 2017. And then, of course, asking people who had experienced, loved ones with dementia and that, just putting this whole list together of questions. And, because I'm a problem solver, God likes me to solve man's problems. And, dementia is relatively new. Now we know that it's cholesterol. Ever since they started putting people on these lies about cholesterol, we started getting dementia in people, which dementia is a relatively new disease, and it's pretty much been ever since they started lying about how high cholesterol this and high cholesterol that, it's bad for you, blah, 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 when it's actually a lie. The brain is made up of cholesterol. We need cholesterol to keep our brains functioning. So high fat foods, high fat dairy especially, is absolutely essential for a healthy, functioning, fully functioning brain. Everything that you've been told about cholesterol, like keeping it below 100 and blah, or if it's over 160 blah, it's not. Your cholesterol's supposed to be in the hundreds. A healthy cholesterol is supposed to be in the hundreds because the brain is made up of cholesterol. Now, what God told me, even back when I didn't believe in God, but everything that was coming through when I was studying and asking, because obviously I get everything from unnatural, supernatural sources. All my information starts in the supernatural. It starts with God. It starts with Atom, who I now call God. I make sense to me, don't worry. When I started learning about ghost memories and looking at stories about people who were experiencing ghost memories and their loved ones in that, they were reenacting the past. A lot of these patients with the, ghost memories, because it depends on how severe the dementia is. I saw it a lot in men in the military and nurses, and that where they'd be triggered, a word or a smell or a song or a sound, they'd be triggered and they'd immediately be in that moment, and they call them ghost memories. They would refute, yes, Sarge, and, Dr. blah, 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 and, they'd be fussing about doing their thing like they were back in the past, but they're not back in the past. They're living the past. They are in the past in the present moment, but those around them can't see it because they haven't gone back in time. So ghost memories, they're not memories. they're reliving the event for the first time. They're there in the past, in the present, to everybody else, but to the person experiencing the ghost memory, they are living that event for real. They have time jumped. It's time jumping. It's what I do when I investigate unsolved murders. And, when I say I time jump, I'm time jumping. I can walk around places and see events in that like I'm really there. And I don't have to go anywhere to do it. I can do it in my head. When I went to Montreal, like when I do the National Trust things, in my own room, or in my own country, I can be in a completely different time, in a completely different country, witnessing an event from hundreds, even thousands of years before I was even born, and walk around it like I'm really there. I had one event, I was talking about the bruises on my legs. I had an event with my ex-husband. He's never going to admit this, even though at the time he thought it was really cool. I had an event where I was walking across a bridge, and it was really cold, and I put my hand down on this little stone bridge, and the cold from the ice, because there was snow, like melting snow, the cold from the ice and the water running underneath and everything, like it snapped me out of it. And when I sort of came back round, I had like, when you put your hands on stones and pebbles, um, and then it leaves like little imprints on your skin. I had those on my skin with bits of dirt on my hand. That's when I knew that I was onto something with quantum magnetics. That's when I knew that my science was something more than science could ever possibly know. Well, people with dementia and their ghost memories, they are living that experience for real. They are really there. And the best thing you can do is watch them and record it, because what you are seeing is a pure supernatural event where they are defying the laws of physics to step back in time to live it and experience it for the first time, and you're witnessing it. So it's like it I can't put into words how fascinating this is in the world of science, but medicine screws it all up, because medicine doesn't understand what the hell's going on, because they go by a textbook, and then they try to stop it with the medications and all of that, when in actual fact you're witnessing an awesome event. And people who are dying, when it comes to me being a death angel, they come to me with these events when they're dying, so that I can record them, because they know, whether we're in the same country or not, whether they're, even if they don't even know they're about to die, because I've said this before, when I've recorded going to children and victims of murder, or an accident or whatever, and I'll document it for them, and I sit with them in the ethers and wait for them to cross over, and I document and record and observe everything. And then they might not die, with Gabby Petito and that, for like 6, 7, 8 months, or a couple of weeks, or a few days. They might not even know they're about to die, but they will come to me so that I can record their death and sit with them and wait for them to die, because they're helping me. They're basically offering the world another way to see death, because their higher self, their conscious self, their godly self that is preparing them for their death, because your soul is prepared for your death long before your body even knows it's going to die. So they will come to me, and I will record it and document it, so that when they die, I can say, look, see, it's for one of two reasons. It's to prove my science, because God is wanting people to understand death so they no longer fear it or misunderstand it. But it's also so that the victims, the ones that are dying, if their loved ones ever see my evidence and see what I've documented and recorded, it can give them hope and faith to know that their loved one didn't die alone, that there was someone with them, that they had, like, the angels with them to sit with them when they crossed over. Because obviously I've recorded bus crashes where dozens of people have died. I've recorded helicopter crashes, plane crashes, murders, multiple murders, murder suicides, like everything. I've recorded so many different kinds of death, that if in the future any of their loved ones see what I've recorded, um, it gives them comfort to know that they didn't die alone, and that they, even though they might have died in a physically painful way or in a distressing way, their soul, their spirit was prepared and full of love long before their body even knew it was their last day on earth. And because I'm a death angel, I'm here to show people the true meaning of life and death, to prepare everyone for the afterlife, so that when they die, they can die, karmic debt free. They can die in peace and without regrets. And the people that they leave behind know that they're physically gone, but not emotionally forgotten, because time forgets nothing, and memories are just little pockets or bubbles of time. Now, what God told me when I wanted to, look, if we could cure this, if we could fix it, in dementia patients, what could we do? And he showed me the brain, and he showed me what he called the pineal slip. And if you look where the pineal gland is in the brain, apparently there is a very, 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 it is so thin. It's like this tiny, tiny little nerve that looks like a canal that gets pinched as the brain shrinks because of the lack of cholesterol. So, I mean, you might want to put your loved ones on a high cholesterol diet, like full fat, full proteins. Don't listen to what the doctors say. If they've got dementia and you know they're going to die anyway, what have you got to lose? Than to at least, pump their brain full of cholesterol and protein. I'm not making any of this up. It's all available information online. I'm going to put links in the description box below to show that I've been working on dementia and the protein E theory for a long time, because what God said was, it's like with dementia, as the brain shrinks, it's shrinking, it's pinching this canal by what he calls the pineal slip. And it is a slip of a thing. It is so, so tiny that it's almost it merges with, you know nerves and all of that. It's almost like hidden behind nerves, or like neurons in the brain. It's so, so tiny that it's almost mistaken for like a neuron, or something like that. But he calls it the pineal slip, and it's in and around the pineal gland, which is responsible for how we interact with our intuition, how we interact with our higher selves. It opens up our intuition. It's called our third eye. It helps us see beyond the physical. It is our antenna, basically, for how we communicate with the universe and the information that we receive from the universe, because it is all connected. It's biorhythmic, it's biometric. It is, you can't have one without the other. How the physical body reacts is dependent on how the the psychic mind receives and transmits information. And the psychic mind, it's the third eye. The psychic mind, as in like the scientific mind. The psychic is the science, not the ability. The ability is clairvoyance or intuitive clairvoyance, but psychic is the science. And when you're talking about time jumping, you're talking about the psychic sciences, how you receive intuitive information, how you communicate intuitively, how you use telepathy, kinetic energy, all that sort of thing is the psychic sciences. So your pineal gland is responsible for all of that. And what he said was, if you inject protein E into the pineal slip, it unblocks, it unpinches. It's like, imagine putting boulders in this canal so that it blocks everything up like a dike in a dam. And when you inject it with this protein E, it pushes all the boulders out the way and frees up the slip, and then they start remembering normally, and they stop having the ghost memories and that, because I know in some of the accounts that I've read, it can lead them into danger, especially if they've been in the military or law enforcement and that, where maybe they were scuba divers who had to sort out like detonators and that under submarines, or where they had to draw weapons and they're reliving a specific account. I know of cases where people have had dementia and experienced ghost memories where they've gone to draw their weapons, or they've gone to do something that was dangerous in their job in their 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, that could have been potentially dangerous. And even sometimes in some cases it has been dangerous and even a little bit fatal. There's loads of cases where people have committed crimes while suffering from dementia, and like because of reliving trauma or reliving a memory or an event that they can't control, because their brain is confused. Because their brain, when you time jump, it's taken me probably about 20 plus years to train my body not to physically react in a painful way to time jumping, because when I first started time jumping, it was so physically painful that it could take me up to 2 weeks to recover from just having one event. But of course, the more I documented and the more I experienced and the more, I recorded and that sort of thing, I was able to figure everything out and start training my body to get used to the effects. But for anybody else, it would probably kill them. You have to. This is a gift that you're chosen for. Not everybody can do this. It is my supernatural ability. I can access time, and I use it in order to teach people and help them evolve. But for me personally, it's for, like, it's not that I don't have an interest in mental health. Like, I have no interest in being a mental health therapist or anything like that, because you can't teach most adults. They don't want to know. They don't want to learn about themselves, because in order to learn about yourself, you have to admit maybe you've done things wrong. You have to admit maybe some things are your own fault, or you're in this position because you won't grow up, or you won't admit responsibility, or you don't want to fix the mistakes that you made, or admit that you even have something wrong, or that you're unhealed from something. You have to be very honest with yourself if you're going to heal yourself from any mental health issues or traumas or childhood traumas, in order to be able to have an ascension and fully align the mind body spirit dynamic. Whereas children, it's easier just to teach them as they grow. So, but with adults, I can't. So I have no, and mine isn't anything. I'm not doing this to help people with mental health. If they don't want to be helped, if they don't want to take the information, I'm here to teach people how to understand life and death and the evolution between the two processes, in order to help children grow up without mental health issues. If they can understand what it is they are from an early age, they won't grow up to be the adults that refuse to look at their childhood trauma or their childhood abuse or the abandonment or neglect or bullying, or the fact that they might just have like a self-entitled attitude that has been diagnosed as a mental illness, that sort of thing. Because trust me when I say, there were people that I was locked up with where they basically just needed to be told to grow up, who maybe should have got a smacked bottom when they were little, or put on the naughty step a few times, who were perfectly okay with doctors medicating them for packing tantrums because they were immature and irresponsible and refused to take responsibility for their immature actions and tantrums. And the doctors were only too happy to feed them medication for it. So, I'm not interested in any of that. All I care about is helping children grow up without the need to have to deal with any of that. And it starts with helping people understand life and death. And as a Scorpio and as an eighth elemental alchemist, I am the ruler of all of that: life, death, birth, regeneration, sex, the occult, other people's money, all of it. That's what I'm in charge of. But I am an eighth elemental alchemist, which means from death to birth and the recycling and evolution and ascension of the human soul. That's what I am. That's what I am, the empress of. That I am the goddess of. That is my empire. So if I can teach people the whole process between life and death and reincarnation, from an atomic level, using physics and astrophysics and astrology and astronomy and all of it, alchemy, the occult, the paranormal, the supernatural, theology, philosophy, psychology, all of it. If it's helping people get inspired to heal themselves and to change their path, and it's teaching children not to be afraid of what they are as they're learning who they are, then that's what I'm going to do. I am an occult scientist, and when it comes to the occult, the one thing that you have to understand more than anything in the world, regardless of your religion or your theological beliefs or the mythology that you live in or your culture or anything, is understanding the human brain and how the human mind works in conjunction to it. The physical, or the conscious, and the subconscious. The subconscious lives inside the physical brain. One half of the physical brain deals with the subconscious, how we think, how we feel pertaining to how we were raised and how we are in society, and genetics and all of that. It's all physical, it's all biological, it's all organic, it is all genetic, it's all geology. Well, yeah, it can be. So it is geology and it's geography as well, because geology, we can react to the rocks and mountains and stones and trees and all of that. You got to remember that pebbles and sand on the beach were once giant mountains. And if you're in areas where there's been war, famine, disease, bloodshed, and Papatuanuku has soaked all of that up, the geology, the geological makeup of the environment that you're in can have a great impact on your mental health. And that's what I'm here for. And my tane clay and my rehua spray is all to help lift it up off the planet and lift it up off you. And what God said was protein E injected into the pineal slip will greatly help people suffering from dementia. And so, yeah, ghost memories, people need to understand that they're not remembering the event, they are living the event. You're witnessing a time jumper, a time jumping event. And it is supernatural, and it's not a mental health thing. It is friggin' awesome. And they're showing us, physically showing us, and all we're doing is medicating it and freaking out and calling it a thing, when it is so much bigger than that. And so, because I'm a problem solver and I like to find answers to questions, and when these questions pop into my head, I can spend years, decades, I have spent decades finding answers to it, but I don't speak until I'm happy with the answer that I found to the question that I asked, or that I was told to ask, or in God's case, made to ask. Because like Queen Elizabeth and God and that, they have a tendency to force me to put things out there even if I don't want to, because, like everything I put out, I'm at risk of, I put myself in danger for, because there's a lot of people out there that have tried to kill me, to shut me up, because they don't want me putting out there what I know, because then it gets people off medication, it gets people rethinking their votes, it gets people standing up for themselves, it gets people fighting for justice, it gets people defending themselves, it gets people arrested, it gets people their medical degrees taken away, it gets people sent to court, it gets people getting sued. It gets prime ministers and presidents removed from power. It stops people from being able to get away with human trafficking and sacrificing children and stealing children and abusing children. So I'm public enemy number one to dozens and dozens and dozens of billionaires, millionaires, people in power, prime ministers, presidents, gaming artists, art directors, games companies, psychics, mediums, clairvoyants, you name it. Because I speak the truth, and I'm revealing them for the liars that they are and the frauds that they are. So, and the criminals that they are, and the demons that they are, and the devils that they are. And so, of course, people want me dead and deported and, locked up and medicated and all of that, because I speak the truth, because my brain, my DLPFC, my dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, cannot abide injustice. Anything that is a lie or untruthful or dishonest or unjust, my brain immediately jumps in and reacts without thinking. I put myself in danger a lot more than you know. Oh God, I'm not even. But yeah, when I say I'm the quantum menace from this, the mutant legion, when I say I'm a superhero, I'm not joking. We really are X-Men. My boys know we really are X-Men. We really do have superpowers. I've documented it time and time and time and time again. Of course, I had to write a comic book about it, The Quantum Menace. And The Quantum Menace is the first video game that my sons and I developed. It's all there ready to go. We just got to create Gemstone Games and build the foundation from the money that I get from the lawsuit. From dealing with all of these people that have tried to stop me from doing right by the world, including Sumo Digital and my ex-husband and all that. And then we can start making these games and set up my comic book program. So, which I want to do with inmates. Set up my comic book program with inmates, incarcerated inmates. I was hoping to do it in El Salvador, but yeah, I can't be in league with anyone who does business with the devil. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. It's nothing personal. It's just I'm not allowed to associate with certain kinds of people because I can't bring children in around those certain kinds of people. And I'm certainly not going to deal with people who build tunnels for trafficking humans in there. And unfortunately, the president of El Salvador does a lot of business with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and I can't have the kids around that. The children come first before anyone. I don't care who you are or what position you hold, you are nothing to me. As in, it's not that you're nothing, it's just that I'm not afraid of you and your position, it doesn't it has no weight with me. I'm not going to be all like, ooh, that's the president. Oh my God, he's got power. Because I literally walk with gods and angels and archangels, supernatural powers, man power. The power of mankind is nothing over the power of God. So a president holds no weight with me. That's why I can yell at people like Vladimir Putin and I'm not afraid of him. But he knows it comes from a place of love because I'm trying to keep him safe because he's the father of the Holy Land. So of the new world. So mortal man, regardless of money or position, is nothing to me. You're it's not. I'm not bothered by any of that because I walk amongst gods. I sit with gods. And when you sit with gods and demigods and angels and archangels and saints all the time, when you're sitting in that energy, a mortal human is like, okay, and so yeah, but I listen because I'm a soldier, and I do as I'm told. When people of a higher position come to me in the supernatural realms, like say Saint Joan of Arc or whatever, and ask me to put out a message in that, I immediately do it without question. Even if, like with Queen Elizabeth, it puts my freedom or my life at stake, because it's protecting my king, it's protecting my commonwealth for the greater good of mankind from tyranny and evil and darkness that is looming on my king's and the commonwealth's doorstep. Keir Starmer is so desperate for a war now that he's blowing up Heathrow, setting off explosions in Heathrow and starting wildfires in Manchester. I mean, we have no sun. Wildfires start when there's heat, and it's like, because there's this election coming up in May, he's doing everything he can to let the world think that they're under threat of terrorism and Russia, because poor Vladdy's getting blamed for the bomb threat or whatever it was in Heathrow, which is a load of bollocks. And I warned the king that Keir Starmer was going to bring danger to his doorstep, and he has. And he's trying to blame it on Russia so that he's got an excuse to go to Russia, and it's all lies. All lies. Because he's playing by America's, remember the Biden rule book of the fires in California and all of that, the explosions at the lithium factories and all of that when it was coming up to the Trump elections. It's because the Illuminati is stuck in a karmic loop. So they just repeat the same pattern over and over and over again. They just pass it on to each other. So Keir Starmer's trying to, he's so desperate for this war that he's prepared to put his own countrymen in danger and his own king in danger in order to blame it on Vladimir Putin, so that he can go in and start a war to stop Vladimir Putin from letting them steal children. And it's all on my ex. There was an investigation done where and now of course I've been told that Vladimir Voldemort, I call him Voldemort, Zelensky has said if he loses this war, he's going to set off all the nuclear reactors in the Ukraine and basically just radiate everyone with like radiation poisoning in Europe and Asia and, you know, parts of America to pack a big tantrum. So now Keir Starmer and the European Union, Macron and all that, are now funding a man who wants to kill them off and us off, because like, where are they going to go where radiation goes underground and in the air? So he'll kill everyone off with radiation poisoning for losing the war. And Keir Starmer's funding it. So they're funding the annihilation of mankind because one man isn't getting his own way. And setting, you know, bomb threats or whatever it is in Heathrow, he's brought it straight to my king's doorstep. They're prepared, fully prepared to commit mass murder in order to stop Russia from protecting children. That's how sick and twisted they are. So now by Voldemort making this claim, he's revealed himself for the psychopath that he is, as well as the psychopathy of people like Keir Starmer and the European Union, Macron and all that, because they're funding it. So where are they going to go? If they're like, okay, yep, set off these nuclear reactors in the Ukraine and kill everyone off, where are they going to go? Because their tunnels aren't going to stop the radiation. Radiation seeps into the ground. It seeps into the soil. It can get through concrete. It can get through the air. So he's prepared to wipe out 3/4 of the Earth's population with the backing of Keir Starmer and Macron and all of that, for packing a tantrum that he doesn't get to steal children and soldiers' organs and use them and sacrifices them for perverted pleasures and all of that, with the backing of Keir Starmer and all of that. So yeah, Queen Elizabeth and God and that make me put myself out there, put my life at risk. I put myself in danger every single time I put a post or video out, because I have a king to protect. I have a commonwealth to protect. I have a president to protect who has been blamed for everything that these disgusting, sinful, immoral, cretinous psychopaths are trying to get away with, because he put his foot down and said, no, I'm not letting you do it. So I will give my life to defend my king. I will give my life to defend President Putin. Absolutely. Because I have. I swallowed poison defending President Putin for 4.5 months. My throat has never recovered from the damage that was done to the constant vomiting from going into anaphylaxis twice a day. Split my stomach open, split all 12-year-old scars open, festering, infected, stunk from rotting flesh because I was denied medical treatment at the same time as being starved. My heart almost gave out, and it's only because my blonde angel, BJ Malvini, started sending me kebabs and buying me food so that I wouldn't die. But when I asked her later on why she did it, and she said, because I know how special you are. She said, God asked me to look after you, and I know how special you are. She's a devout Catholic, a traveller, and she saved my life. And so now in turn, I'm going to save Britain. And I'll always defend her, even though we don't talk anymore for personal reasons. I will always defend her, especially against the traveller community, and, you know, because she was called nuts because of her faith in God. And she ended up saving my life because God told her to. And the red and white bracelet that I have on my wrist came from her. She took me back to Jesus. My St. Philomena cord, the cord of purity, for the blood she shed, the red, and the white for her purity, because she martyred herself, because she refused to have sex with men, to show her dedication with God. She didn't I can't remember if she was saving herself for marriage or she was just wanted to be like a servant of God, but she refused to have sex and she was raped and murdered, and so she became martyred. And so the St. Philomena cord is in honour of her, but also to keep me pure. Reminds me to keep my legs closed. So, yeah, which I have done for 10 years. So anyway, I am what I am, and I teach what I teach, and I do what I do because I'm told to, because it's helping humanity and it's helping inspire people. It's saving lives, it's saving minds, and it's mending broken hearts from sometimes a lifetime of abuse and pain and suffering. And now I'm going to take everything that I am and everything that I know and everything that I do and all the money that I get from that, and I'm going to build my Art of Creation Foundation, my foundation art school, creative art school, and I'm going to build my resource, and I'm going to teach everything to children and to people that are willing to learn, and then we can start turning lights on inside people's minds and expanding minds and opening minds up, and then healing them in the process. And it starts by teaching them the difference between the paranormal and the supernatural. In order to do that, you have to understand how the mind works. And in order to understand how the mind works, you have to understand how the brain functions. Because, you know, the etheric and the organic have to be in line with each other in order to, you know, deal with the atomic frequency. Otherwise, it's very, very, very painful. Trust me. So I'm going to go now and finish my toast, because I was eating my toast when I got inspired to do it. So I will speak to you later. Hold your head up high and know you are loved. Mwah. Ka kite anō.